Hi, hey, hello, how's it going? It's Emily. And today we're going to be starting another reading vlog. I think I'm going to call this one TBR Takedown, episode one. We'll see what I end up deciding to do, but basically we're just going to be reading some books and taking my TBR number down, or the number of unread books I have on my shelf. We're gonna take that number down. And we're going to start with some romantasies because that's, I don't know, what I love to read. And so we are going to start with A Star Side by Alex Astor. This is the first book I'm reading in the month because I'm so excited about this. This is what I picked for my TBR game. By the way, if you didn't see it, be sure to go check it out. It's fun. It's a Formula One inspired TBR game. And this was what I picked for a prompt to read a popular book, because this one is definitely making the rounds right now. And I've read some other books by Alex Astor. I've read her contemporary romance, part of the Lightlark series. And so I am very excited to be reading an adult fantasy debut for this author. And so in this one, we're following Eris, and Eris lives in a world where there are two different sides. There's Star Side and Storm Side. She is from Storm Side. This is the side where people basically fight for little scraps of magic and fight to live, basically. And then there's Star Side. And this is where the gods live. This is where immortals live. There's more magic. Things are a lot better on that side. And every 50 years, the gates essentially open and a bunch of people clamor to enter this. It's not really a competition. There aren't really trials. You just are able to venture across star sides, but only 50 people can actually be allowed to go in. So there's this huge basically scramble and fight to be able to be one of these 50 people that actually gets into Starside and can make your way then across Starside to be able to get to where the gods are. And the people who get there first, I think, is it just one person can get like a set of magic or a wish request? Like they basically get magic to be able to do all sorts of things. There are all sorts of motivations. It could be to heal people. It could be to do... Anyway, there are all sorts of reasons people are trying to get across Starside to get to where the gods are. And for Eris, her motivation is vengeance. And we haven't been told too much, I think, or maybe I'm just not remembering the details about what happened to her family and what the gods did to her family, but she is wanting vengeance against the gods that killed her family. And she, at one point after her family died and was killed, at one point after that, she was basically taken in by this blacksmith, trained a bit, and in this world you can claim swords, and swords can have different magic associated with them. And so, she has an okay sword going into this competition, but and some knowledge about fighting and metalwork and stuff like that. But she's able to get, towards the beginning here, she's able to get this really powerful sword to kind of respond to her call and try to see if they can kind of be matched. And like essentially the sword picks someone who it feels is worthy. And so she has this really powerful sword now, which makes her a target. And so she's trying to get through Starside and make her way, travel through. So there definitely is some traveling in here. So if you don't like traveling, maybe won't be a favorite, but anyway. And then she initially bonds, or in terms of friendship, bonds, not the sword bond, but she eventually, or at the beginning, kind of becomes friends with a couple of people, but for reasons, can't really stay with them for too long. And she eventually comes across Raker. And she, through circumstances, has found a map to Starside. And so he can help protect her. He has a better sword, more fighting training than she does, and she can basically help navigate. She's memorized this map. And so they strike an uneasy alliance and are going to try to make their way across Starside. And it has just been so much fun. We kind of jump right into the action of this scramble to get into Starside, and she's come across many dangers and a lot of stuff going on in Starside to be able to actually get across it. So it's not this perfect place. There are still monsters, there are still dark things going on in Starside that are dangerous to navigate and get across. So that's what she's been trying to do, is get through these dangers and get across Starside. And yeah, it's just been a ton of fun. And she and Raker are definitely not getting along at first, for reasons that you'll learn about if you read the book. And so, yeah, they're just trying to make their way across. Let me see if there's a map. I think there's a map in this one, which would be kind of fun to show. Actually, it's not really going to show up that well on camera. It's a pretty dark map, so it's not really going to show up very well. But it's fun to track kind of where they are and see them make their way across Starside. So I'm enjoying this one immensely. I'm a bit over halfway through. I don't even know if you can tell where that break is. The bookmark isn't really sticking up very much. But I'm a bit over halfway through, and so I'm going to keep going with this one. And then, yeah, we'll see what other Romantasy we get up to. Half City is another one that got picked for me, or that I picked based on my TBR game. So I definitely would love to read Half City, and then I think I want to find another Romantasy to read in this one at some point. So we'll see how this goes, but for now, definitely really enjoying Starside, having a grand time with this. I've seen such great things about this one, so I'm definitely very excited to continue and see where this one goes. So I have finished Starside by Alex Astor, and I believe Stormside is coming out later this year, November, if I'm not mistaken. I need to double check that, but it is coming out this year, and I'm so excited for it. I don't want to say much more about the plot. They're just making their way across Starside, finding some things out, going on adventures, make their way to the gods, confrontation that we're building up to, all that great stuff. And I'm so excited about what happened towards the end. I loved how we wrapped up and what that means for what we're heading towards in the next book. I'm obviously not going to say anything more than that. I don't want to be spoilery, but I'm just so excited for the next one. Had the best time with this one. And speaking of having the best time, I'm also having the best time with Half City by Kate Golden. And I felt like I would love this one. I was pretty sure I would love this one. I'm definitely loving this one. This is Demon Fighting Academy story. So we're following our main character, Viv. And in this world, there are all sorts of demon creatures, vampires, werewolves, all sorts of creatures, right? And her father was a particular type of demon hunter, and he has passed away in a fight with a demon. And she is also this particular type of demon fighter. She believes that she could be the last of this particular type of demon hunter, and she needs to kind of keep it to herself. Because even among demon hunters, and she doesn't realize that there are other demon hunters, but when she comes to fully realize, her father made it clear that she kind of needed to hide who she was. And that others might fear her and her abilities. So she's been training with her father as a kid, fighting demons with him as a kid, and was devastated by his death. And so was her mother. Her mother, however, does not realize that demons and all these creatures exist. She just believes that he was attacked by some random criminals, or some criminals of some sort, and she's trying to figure out what happened to him but doesn't realize that what Viv knows, and that is that there are demons that actually killed him. And so she has gone on a kind of legal crusade. She's become, is it the district attorney? She's become kind of a law enforcement type of position in this city to help crack down on crime and figure out what happened to her husband. And so she and Viv don't really have a great relationship because Viv needs to kind of hide a lot of things. Her mother has kind of become cold and distant ever since her husband's death, Viv's father's death. And so there's definitely this wall between them. And Viv can't say anything about being a demon hunter. And she comes across a demon one day who tells her that there's this demon hunting academy and that she's being offered admission. And so she is excited about the idea that she might not be alone, and she wants to find other people that are like her, even if they're not completely like her. And so she goes to this academy, but she needs to balance going to school while hiding it, she works at a museum, trying to work at this museum or make excuses. She lives with someone, and so, she's living with someone in the city, so she needs to make an excuse about where she is, when she's going to school, trying to balance this job that she can't really do or have time for. She's also in this relationship with someone that her mom approves of, but she's never really been that invested in terms of that relationship. And so she has all of this to try to balance, and inevitably a lot of lies come into play trying to figure everything out. But I do really enjoy Harker, the academy, and this school setting. And I enjoy when a school setting actually feels like you're in a school setting. You're going to classes, you're talking about homework, I feel like sometimes in an academy setting, that can kind of get lost with everything else going on. You can easily forget that you're in a school setting. But here I don't feel like we're forgetting that we're in a school setting, which is nice. And so I'm enjoying that aspect. There are also a couple of mysteries here. So one, she is trying to figure out exactly what happened to her dad, or, see what she can do about what happened to her dad and figure out more information there. So she knows it was demons, but, has more information to find out about her father's death. But there's also a mystery going on at this school where things are happening to students. Like, students are going missing. Weird things are happening. And so she's trying to figure out what's going on there as well. So I'm really intrigued by all these mysteries. She's trying to find more information about, as I said, what happened to her dad and what's happening to these students. So she's trying to collect information. She is getting closer to the person who recruited her, who turns out to be one of the combat instructors, or the combat instructor at this school. So she's kind of having this flirtation with a professor. And so that's happening as well. And she's trying to figure out what to do about that. And anyway, it's just been entertaining. I've been having so much fun with the romance, the mysteries, the characters. She has a found family of friends at this school, but she's also trying to maintain her relationship with her other friend from back home that she lives with, which is really hard given everything going on. And it's been a grand time. I'm a good solid chunk into it, so I'm sure there are many more mysteries to be explored or information to be gathered about those mysteries. And we'll see what happens. But I'm very intrigued, having a wonderful time, and just enjoying the world and the places that we get to see in this world and the characters that we're meeting and what's going on. So I will update once I have finished. And yeah, I'm so excited to continue. So we'll check back in later. So I have finished Half a City by Kate Golden. Absolutely loved this. I had so much fun with this. I don't always love urban fantasy for some reason, but this was so much fun. As I said, I love the school setting. love the mystery. I think the pacing was really good, and we do get moments to breathe with the character, but we also get pretty good action and her, again, trying to figure out these mysteries, hunting demons, all that great stuff. And I'm very intrigued to see what happens in the next one. Because, we leave off at definitely a key moment that leaves you just wanting to know what happens next, and it's working because I want to know what happens next. I want the next one. And oh my god, I think we're getting it. Are we getting it later this year? Maybe. Anyway, either way, I'm pumped to continue that series. And I will take a quick pause on this vlog. Not a very long one because I need to finish up one other thing, and then we'll come back to this one. I'm going to read another Romantasy. I think I know what it'll be, but just in case I change my mind before deciding to pick it up, I'll just cut it off here, and then we'll just see in the next clip if I actually read the book that I think I'm going to read next. But it will be a Romantasy, and one that I'm incredibly excited to read. That I can guarantee you. And then we'll just continue the theme of this blog of just reading some Romantasies that I'm super excited about. So yeah, check in soon. So here to continue this vlog, I am in the ballpark. You can't really see that very well to see that I'm about halfway through, but I am about halfway through King of Ravens by Claire Sager. So this is the next one that I ended up going with to help take down my TBR one Romantasy at a time. And I've been having fun with this one. This is the first Claire Sager that I have read. I have been intrigued by some of her other books. I've definitely heard about some of her other books from other people who love Romantasy and just have chatted about her books. So definitely at least a little bit of familiarity, but have not actually read any of her books. But again, have been intrigued. And this one I was definitely intrigued by as well, because I really love a human is lost in a fae setting or gets forced into a fae setting and is just kind of lost and needs to figure out the rules and figure out how to conduct herself, who she can trust. And I kind of love that setup, which is exactly what this is. So we're following Rhiannon, and unbeknownst to her, Rhiannon's father at one point when he was out at sea, I believe he's a fisherman. Anyway, he was out at sea. At the very least spends a lot of time out on the water. And he had some situation where he was potentially in danger and could drown. And the other gods weren't helping him, but the goddess of fate answered and said that she would save him if she promised his firstborn daughter to her son, one of the kings of the underworld. And he agrees in order to save his life. And ever since he had Rhiannon, or ever since he and his wife had Rhiannon, they've been on the run basically to try to get away from having her married off to this king of the underworld who is a fae. And so, they don't mention anything. They just kind of live this quiet life in this remote cottage. Rhiannon has been ill for a long time and, has a lot of limitations in terms of her movement and, doesn't have a lot of stamina and things like that. So she's been ill for a long time. She has some medicine that she takes, and she also takes little bits of belladonna to help get her through. And so this has kind of been her life. She's been trying to figure out and has a notebook full of information that she's tried to find out, or that she's found out from, whatever books and information she is able to source in their remote area in the closest, smallest town. So occasionally there are people who travel with some books, and she's able to at least maybe glean some information. Her brother is trying to help her find whatever books he can to help her study medicine and plants and anything that might help her figure out what's wrong with her. She's consulted physicians. No one has been able to figure out what's wrong with her. And, she is kind of bound to the house, essentially, and is just trying to figure out what information she can. So the time comes for the king of the underworld to collect on the bargain. And so he comes, and it's revealed that her father made this bargain. She goes with the king of the underworld, and oh no, he's super hot, y'all. And goes with him and is trying to figure out, what it is to live in this fae world. She is going to be his bride, so she's going to be a queen of the underworld. And there are different kingdoms in the underworld that are each ruled by different brothers of his. And so we're learning a little bit about some of these other places. Dristan is his name, the fae king of the underworld. And so, we're learning a little bit more about these other kingdoms that Dristan's brothers run. And I imagine in future books might hopefully get to explore some of that. But for the moment, we're kind of confined to his estate. And it's or is it a castle? I think whatever, wherever he lives, they're there, and she has an attendant to help her, and she's attending various fae events, trying to learn the rules. Dristan is trying to tell her certain rules, as is the person who helps her get ready and attends to her. And they're becoming friends as well. And so she's trying to figure herself out, but she's also trying to figure out how to get back home. And essentially she doesn't want to die without her family. That's one of her greatest fears, is to just die alone with no one that loves her around her. And so she's trying to get back home, even if it's just to, die in the arms of people that love her. And so she's trying to take care of herself. She needs to find a new source for the medicine, because the medicine she was able to bring with her that she had on hand is quickly running out. And so, but she also doesn't want to say too much about her illness to people, because that is seen as weakness, and she doesn't want to seem weak to the court. Anyway, so there's also one of the things that's going on as well is in her effort to try to figure out how to get home, she makes a bargain with Dristan. Never make a bargain with the fae, y'all. She makes a bargain with Dristan about having a potential avenue to be able to go back home. But of course, it's not what it seems. And anyway, so she's seen his brutal side. She's seen him take care of her in different moments. So her emotions are all over the place, and she's trying to figure out how to get home and trying to figure out her surroundings. But yeah, I always love the fish out of water in a fae setting. It does it for me for some reason. I absolutely love it. So having a grand time with this one. And it was kind of funny. I was describing this one to Matt, and I swear to God, he is probably convinced that if some random dude were to come up to me and claim that he were a fae prince and that someone had made a bargain and that I needed to come with him, I swear to God, I think he's worried that I would go with some random person who is telling me that they're a fae prince or king. Anyone else's partner is concerned for their safety when they read books like this. Anyway, just me? Okay. So having a good time, and I will, check back in once I've read some more or have some more thoughts to share. So I have finished King of Raven. So here to wrap up this vlog. I really enjoyed this one. As I said, I love human fish out of water in a fae world, and they need to figure out fae politics and fae court life. And in her case, she's trying to get back home and is trying to go through the trials to do that. And as I said, made a bargain with Dristan to do that. And were the twists super shocking? I mean, maybe not necessarily, but I still, this stuff has been done before. I don't think there was anything particularly unique, but I still had fun with it. It was still a really good time, and I'm really excited to read the next one in this, and this is also making me very excited to read Claire Sager's other work. I don't remember what other books she's written, but I know she has a backlog, and I've heard about some of her other books, and so I'm very interested in reading some of her other series and seeing what those series are about. Maybe I can prioritize certain ones that sound more interesting, or maybe there's an interconnected world of her books and I maybe shouldn't have read this one first. I have no idea, but I know I had fun with this one, and I'm very anxious, I think was the word that or the feeling that I was left with after what happened towards the end. I'm just anxious for our main character and what's going to happen next. And I'm very intrigued to see what she does with what happened. So I will leave it there, but thank you so much for joining me in this TBR Takedown episode. And so this is just in general me making sure that I'm reading books on my physical TBR, which I have been prioritizing, so it's not like it's that different, but you know, we can call it something else and have fun with the title. And I had fun with the romantasy theme. I was definitely very much in a romantasy mood. So it was great to just get to some romantasies that I've really been anticipating. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to subscribe for more bookish content. I will leave my Pango down below if you want to check out what's on my Pango. The used books there. I'll leave my Etsy link down below. I will also leave my Instagram link down below. I've been very active there. I will also leave more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.